In 1959, the marriage of America's sweethearts was over, and Debbie was cast as the victim. Eddie had ditched Debbie for Elizabeth Taylor.
Debbie Reynolds, Hollywood's darling, the picture-perfect girl next door, had it all: fame, fortune, and a smile that lit up the screen. But behind the glittering lights of Tinseltown, her life was far from a fairy tale. The shocking betrayal that rocked her marriage to Eddie Fisher left her heartbroken and humiliated, especially when it was revealed that her best friend Elizabeth Taylor was involved. Once the wedding of the year, their love story crumbled under the weight of scandal, infidelity, and public disgrace. For decades, the pain lingered, haunting Debbie with the loss of love and trust. In rare, raw moments, she revealed the devastating toll it took on her spirit. But instead of letting it define her, Debbie's incredible resilience helped her rebuild and heal, showing the world that even the brightest stars can fall, only to rise again. Get ready to dive into the untold heartache and strength of one of Hollywood's true legends. The fairy tale romance that ended in heartbreak. Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher's marriage was the epitome of a fairy tale romance in Hollywood during the mid-1950s. They were the perfect couple. He, a chart-topping crooner with a smooth voice that captivated millions, and she, the wholesome actress who stole hearts with her performances in iconic films like Singin' in the Rain. When they wed in 1955, it was seen as the show business wedding of the year, a glamorous union that enchanted the public and set them up as Hollywood's golden couple. Eddie was quick to refer to Debbie as "my princess," and she in turn called him "my handsome prince." Their love seemed like the kind of story dreams were made of. However, beneath the glitzy exterior, the cracks in their fairy tale romance were already beginning to appear. Despite their outwardly picture-perfect life, the reality of marriage in the limelight was far from easy. Eddie's busy career kept him on the road for long stretches, leaving Debbie at home, often lonely, with their young children, Carrie and Todd. As the pressures of fame began to take their toll, the distance between the couple grew. A picture-perfect marriage crumbles. By the time their daughter, Carrie Fisher, was only 6 months old, Eddie's behavior had started to change. The husband was becoming more distant, and the fairy tale-like life Debbie had imagined was beginning to unravel. She found herself carrying the weight of the family while also maintaining her own successful career. As her star continued to rise, the emotional strain of an absent husband weighed heavily on her, leading to increasing tension in their home. What once seemed like a glamorous union of two stars became a reality where Debbie felt isolated and alone, despite being surrounded by the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. The couple's growing emotional distance was compounded by Eddie's frequent absences, which took a toll on their relationship. Debbie, who had once viewed marriage as the ultimate expression of love and trust, began to see that the reality of their situation was far different. The first cracks in their fairy tale romance were visible, but what happened next would be a betrayal that no one could have anticipated: scandal, betrayal, and heartache. In the end, it was not just Eddie's absence that shattered their marriage, but a betrayal that would haunt Debbie for years to come. Eddie Fisher's affair with Debbie's best friend, Elizabeth Taylor, shattered the fragile trust in their relationship, leading to a public scandal that forever changed the course of Debbie's life. The pain and heartbreak from this betrayal were immense, not just because of the infidelity, but because it involved someone Debbie had trusted deeply. Their fairy tale ended in heartbreak, and the woman who had once been Hollywood's beloved princess found herself navigating a painful new reality. The shocking revelation: Eddie Fisher's infidelity with Elizabeth Taylor. In 1958, just 2 years after her picture-perfect marriage to Eddie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds faced the ultimate betrayal. The once idyllic relationship between the two stars began to crumble as Eddie spent more time away from home, leaving Debbie feeling increasingly lonely and isolated. Then, one fateful evening, everything changed. Debbie decided to call her best friend Elizabeth Taylor for a friendly chat. To her horror, it was Eddie himself who answered the phone. In that moment, the painful truth hit her like a ton of bricks. "I know you're in bed with Liz Taylor," Debbie bluntly said to Eddie, realizing that her worst fears had come true. Her husband had been having an affair with her closest friend for months. The revelation was devastating. The scandal sent shockwaves through Hollywood, and the pain Debbie felt was overwhelming. For years, she had considered Elizabeth a confidant and a trusted friend, never imagining that she would betray her in such a hurtful way. "I never suspected she would entice my husband away. I might not have been as surprised were it anyone else," Debbie later reflected. But how it all happened was rather scandalous, in that they didn't take more care to avoid hurting me. Though deeply heartbroken, Debbie admitted that, in hindsight, no one could have resisted Elizabeth Taylor's allure. Widely regarded as one of the most beautiful women in the world, Taylor's magnetic charm seemed to overpower any sense of loyalty or friendship. But the pain of betrayal, compounded by the public scandal, left a deep scar on Debbie, changing her life and her perception of love forever. A strained friendship with Elizabeth Taylor, the betrayal and reconciliation. Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor shared one of the most complicated friendships in Hollywood history. Their bond, once filled with shared secrets and laughter, was shattered by the most public of betrayals: Elizabeth's affair with Debbie's husband, Eddie Fisher. What followed was a heartbreaking fallout that lasted for 7 long years, leaving both women with emotional scars. The strain between them was one of the most talked-about scandals of the time, and for years, it seemed as though their friendship would never recover. In the aftermath of the affair, both Debbie and Elizabeth were left to pick up the pieces of their lives. Their personal relationships were in tatters, and Hollywood's ruthless gossip mill kept the scandal alive. While Debbie retreated into her work, trying to cope with the heartache of betrayal, Elizabeth faced her own public scrutiny, particularly as she became embroiled in another highly publicized marriage, this time to actor Richard Burton. The two women went their separate ways, and the pain of their fractured friendship was something neither seemed ready to confront. But time, as it often does, brought change. The two women, by now remarried and leading separate lives, began to see the possibility of reconciliation. It wasn't until many years later, when Debbie was traveling on the Queen Elizabeth with her second husband, Harry Carl, that their paths would cross again. A new beginning, the first step toward reconciliation. It was on this fateful voyage that the ice between Debbie and Elizabeth finally began to thaw. Elizabeth, now married to Richard Burton, was also aboard the ship with her family. The situation was ripe for a potential encounter, but neither woman was certain about how to handle it. Yet, as time had passed, both had moved on from the drama that once defined their relationship. With new marriages and lives to focus on, the need to hold on to old grudges had faded. Debbie took the first step in reaching out to Elizabeth, sending a simple note that read, "Let's get together to have dinner. It's silly to carry on this fight now that we've both remarried." It was a bold move, but one filled with the hope of healing old wounds. To Debbie's surprise, Elizabeth had sent a similar note at the same time. The two women, who had not spoken in years, realized that they were both ready to make amends. The reconciliation dinner, a new chapter. The two women agreed to meet for dinner in the main dining room of Queen Elizabeth. The ship's passengers buzzed with excitement as they realized that Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor, two of Hollywood's most iconic women, were about to share a meal together after years of silence. The cameras snapped, but the moment was far more personal than any tabloid headline could capture. For the first time in years, Debbie and Elizabeth sat down together without the weight of scandal and bitterness clouding the atmosphere. The tension of the past was momentarily forgotten as they enjoyed a quiet, emotional dinner. The years of pain, misunderstanding, and mistrust seemed to vanish as they shared stories about their lives, their families, and their hopes for the future. While there were no grand gestures or dramatic apologies, the dinner marked the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship, one defined by healing rather than hurt. This moment of reconciliation was not just a headline-grabbing spectacle, but a profound turning point for both women. In a world that constantly demands perfection, it was a reminder that forgiveness is not always easy, but it is often necessary for growth. Unspoken regrets, forgiveness, and reflection. As their friendship began to heal, Debbie and Elizabeth found themselves connecting on a deeper level. Despite the immense hurt caused by the affair, Debbie came to appreciate the strength that Elizabeth had shown throughout her tumultuous life. Elizabeth had faced her own struggles, marriages that were often as tumultuous as they were high-profile, and yet she continued to press forward with remarkable resilience. "I call her. I don't visit. She's not very well and everyone should pray for her. She has great courage and a great passion for living," Debbie said, reflecting on their friendship in later years. Debbie admired Elizabeth's adventurous spirit, recalling how Elizabeth had gone deep-sea diving despite her health struggles. These qualities, Debbie observed, spoke to a strength that had once been overshadowed by the scandals surrounding their friendship. Debbie's ability to forgive Elizabeth despite the betrayal speaks volumes about her character. It demonstrated a level of maturity and resilience that went beyond the pain of the past. In forgiving Elizabeth, Debbie allowed herself to move forward, shedding the emotional baggage that had weighed her down for so many years. Debbie's heartfelt regret, Marilyn Monroe. While Debbie found it in her heart to forgive Elizabeth, she carried a different kind of regret that would haunt her for the rest of her life. One of her greatest sorrows was being unable to help her dear friend Marilyn Monroe during the actress's most troubled moments. In an emotional revelation, Debbie shared that Dr. Billy Graham, the famous evangelist, warned her about Marilyn's dangerous path and urged her to intervene. At the time, Debbie was coping with a miscarriage and was unable to reach out to Marilyn. The following day, Marilyn Monroe was found dead from a drug overdose. Debbie was left grappling with feelings of guilt, questioning whether she could have done more to help the troubled actress. The loss of Marilyn Monroe weighed heavily on Debbie's heart, and the guilt she felt was compounded by the tragic nature of her friend's death. While she had reconciled with Elizabeth and found peace with that chapter of her life, the regret of not being able to save Marilyn lingered, a reminder that sometimes, despite our best intentions, we cannot always change the course of someone else's life. Moving forward, the power of forgiveness. Debbie Reynolds' life was a roller coaster of triumphs and tragedies, and her ability to forgive those who hurt her, whether it was Elizabeth Taylor or herself, is a testament to her strength and resilience. Through all the pain, betrayal, and loss, Debbie chose to forgive, to heal, and to move forward. Her journey serves as a powerful reminder that forgiveness is not just about others. It is about freeing ourselves from the chains of the past and finding peace in the present. Have you ever had to forgive someone who betrayed you? How did you navigate that difficult process? Share your story with us, and let's explore the healing power of forgiveness together. In the end, Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor's friendship was a reflection of the complexity of human relationships. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And their reconciliation, after years of pain, demonstrates that sometimes time, maturity, and a willingness to forgive can heal even the deepest wounds. The fallouts of her marriages and financial struggles. After her marriage to Eddie Fisher ended in scandal, Debbie remarried in 1960 to Harry Carl, a wealthy shoe manufacturer. For 13 years, the couple appeared to live a comfortable life, but behind closed doors, things were far from stable. Harry Carl had an addiction to gambling that ultimately devastated the couple's finances. It was later revealed that Carl had gambled away a staggering $150 million, $50 million of his own fortune, and $100 million of Debbie's hard-earned money. The consequences of Harry's gambling were nothing short of catastrophic. Debbie was forced to sell 5 homes, several cars, and everything she had accumulated throughout her career. What had once been a life of luxury and financial security quickly turned into one of struggle and sacrifice. The collapse of their finances left Debbie with insurmountable debt, and it would take her an incredible 14 years to pay off the massive financial losses that had resulted from the marriage. This period of financial devastation was one of the most difficult in Debbie's life, and it added to the emotional strain that had already been caused by her previous heartbreak with Eddie Fisher. The disaster of her third marriage, Richard Hamlet, and financial collapse. Debbie's third marriage to property developer Richard Hamlet brought further complications. The couple, in an attempt to find financial stability and success, invested in a hotel and casino in Las Vegas. However, much like her second marriage, things quickly went awry. Hamlet's mismanagement and lack of experience led to the failure of their venture, further deepening their financial troubles. The collapse of the Vegas project marked the final nail in the coffin for Debbie's finances. By 1997, Debbie was officially declared bankrupt, a crushing blow to the woman who had once been one of Hollywood's most successful stars. The losses were not just monetary, they also signified the end of any hope that her financial difficulties might be behind her. With each failed marriage and misguided business decision, Debbie's dream of stability seemed to slip further and further away. The loss of her business venture in Las Vegas mirrored the emotional devastation she had faced in her personal life. Debbie, once known for her upbeat persona and infectious smile, had been brought to her knees by a series of events that she couldn't control. But rather than letting these challenges define her, she did what she had always done. She persevered. A life of learning and self-acceptance. Despite the hardships Debbie Reynolds faced in her relationships and financial struggles, she was ultimately able to come to terms with her past. With age and experience came a new perspective on love, marriage, and life. In a candid interview, Debbie reflected on her journey with disillusionment but also with acceptance. "I've had enough," she said, speaking bluntly about her weariness with love and marriage. "How long would you want me to go on? I don't think one wants to walk into a thrashing machine and be beaten up all the time." After 3 failed marriages and countless personal disappointments, Debbie had come to the conclusion that not all relationships are meant to last. She had once been a romantic, believing in the idea of true love and the notion that marriage was a bond that would endure. But after so much heartache, she became cautious and wary of love. Debbie recognized that trust, once broken, was incredibly difficult to rebuild, and that some people were simply not meant to be in your life forever. Though Debbie had been hurt by the people she had loved most, she no longer carried that pain with her. Through her personal growth and resilience, Debbie learned to forgive, both the people who had betrayed her and herself. She didn't let her past define her, and instead chose to focus on the lessons she had learned. In doing so, she found peace, embracing peace and letting go of regrets. Debbie's ability to forgive and move forward was a hallmark of her character. She acknowledged that while her relationships had often been painful, they had also taught her valuable lessons about love, trust, and self-worth. Looking back on her life, Debbie expressed no regrets. She recognized that she had given her best, loved deeply, and that not all love was meant to last forever. She embraced the beauty of forgiveness and understood that moving on was key to finding happiness, even after everything she had endured. One of the most poignant aspects of Debbie's reflections on her past was the way she let go of regret. While she had learned that not all relationships could be saved, she didn't allow herself to dwell on the past. She accepted that life had dealt her a series of difficult cards, but she also knew that she had the strength to face them head-on. For Debbie, self-acceptance was an essential part of healing, and she was able to find comfort in knowing that she had done her best with what she had. The impact of Debbie Reynolds' life and legacy. Despite the heartbreak, financial ruin, and personal challenges she faced, Debbie Reynolds' legacy remains one of strength, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to her craft. Throughout her career, Debbie entertained audiences with her charm, talent, and grace, leaving an indelible mark on Hollywood and the world. Whether she was dazzling audiences in Singin' in the Rain or showing off her dancing and singing talents in countless other films, Debbie remained a beloved figure in entertainment. Even as her career slowed down in her later years, Debbie never lost her spirit. She continued to inspire those around her, not just through her work, but through her life story. Her ability to rise above her personal struggles, to forgive, and to embrace peace serves as an enduring inspiration to all. In the end, Debbie Reynolds' life is a testament to perseverance. Though she experienced profound loss, both emotionally and financially, she showed the world what it means to be resilient in the face of adversity. Her legacy as an actress, singer, and dancer will live on forever, but perhaps her greatest achievement was finding peace, forgiveness, and acceptance after a lifetime of trials and tribulations. Debbie Reynolds' story is one of resilience, heartbreak, and ultimate forgiveness. After decades of public struggle, she showed the world what true strength looks like. If you enjoyed hearing about Debbie's incredible journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts. What do you think about her reflections on love and marriage? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.